Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Barrister Abid Zubairi, Sahab, President, Supreme Court, Bar Association, members of the Executive Committee of the Supreme Court Bar. वैसे मैंने अंग्रेजी में लिखा है इसलिए मैंने सुना है कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट बार में अंग्रेजी ही चलता है. I am very grateful. आप सबका मैं शुक्रगुजार हूँ. Thank you. ना सिर्फ इसलिए कि आज हम 1973 की कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन का गोल्डन जुबली भी मना रहे हैं. आपका दावत का भी शुक्रिया सुप्रीम कोर्ट बार एसोसिएशन का. और I am incredibly grateful, honored, privileged, humbled कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट बार का इस फोरम पे आपने मुझे ये दावत दिया और शायद मैं पहले वो सियासी रहनुमा हूँ जो सुप्रीम कोर्ट के प्रेमिसेस पे इस फोरम से खिताब कर रहा हूँ. तो I'm truly honored and humbled. It is indeed a privilege. And we appreciate the role of the bar in upholding the law, rule of law, constitutionalism, and human rights in Pakistan. We appreciate that the bar has played this role regardless of the political inclinations of individual members of the bar and the office bearers of the Bar Association. The nation values this bipartisan struggle against dictatorship waged by the legal fraternity. This indeed raises our hopes in democracy and fighting dictatorship. We salute your courage, your determination in the relentless struggle for the rule of law in Pakistan. This is the 50th anniversary of the Constitution of Pakistan that was given to the country by my grandfather, Qaid-e-Awam Shahid Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, with the invaluable support of all political parties, of the right and the left and the center, whether of democratic and secular inclinations or religious persuasions. The unanimous constitution given by the political parties and leaders at the time also had the backing of all the federating units of our federation. This consensus is no small achievement. Let there be no doubt or mistake about it. Under the leadership of Qaid-e-Awam, the political leaders of the time rose above political partisanship, a value that has since systematically eroded over the years. One opposition political leader at the time was asked as to why he had agreed to the constitution when he opposed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto so vehemently at every turn and every forum. In reply, the political leader is reported to have said that opposition to Bhutto was a political necessity, but making the constitution was a national necessity. Such was the spirit at the time. It looks like a dream today. On this occasion, therefore, on the occasion of the 50th anniversary, I would like to pay tribute to all 24 members of the Constitutional Committee of 1972, the Legislative Assembly of 1973, which passed the Constitution, and the then legal fraternity for achieving this milestone in our national history. They are our national heroes, and we salute them. Standing before this august gathering in the premises of the Apex Court of Pakistan, I would like to share with you my thoughts and perceptions about how we see the role played by the judiciary in defending and advancing democracy. I'm tempted to speak about it because democracy, once again, is under threat. And the people look up to the judiciary to protect constitutionalism, to protect human rights, and to protect democracy. I will not give you a textbook narrative nor will I dwell too deeply into the past. The role played by the judiciary in the past is rather too well known and bears no repetition. However, a brief peep into the past serves like a rear-view mirror while driving. It helps in course correction. A constitution is the soul of a state, and tearing it means tearing apart the state itself. Ridiculing it means ridiculing the people of Pakistan. It is a sacrosanct social contract between the state and the citizens on the one hand, and the glue that binds the federating units on the other. Abrogating it means dismembering the federation and alienating the citizens from the state. When dictators abrogated it in the past, the judiciary upheld this abrogation, sometimes in the name of the doctrine of successful revolution, and sometimes in the name of the doctrine of necessity. One felt as if the soul of the state had been torn by those very luminaries who were supposed to protect and defend it. I would not like to dwell more on this. As they say, forget the past, arrange for the present, and face the future. Those who abrogated the Constitution and ridiculed it as merely a 15-page document, and those who upheld the abrogation not only disgraced themselves, but also heaped disgrace on the people and on our nation. They are the traitors of the nation, and their actions were nothing but treacherous. History will always remember them with this title. That is why it is important to jealously safeguard the Constitution and relentlessly pursue those who have subverted it. I've been a member of Parliament now for 5 years and have seen the role played by the judiciary from the perspective or the vantage point of Parliament. The restoration of the judiciary as a result of orchestrated public demonstrations in March 2009 is a seminal incident in the judicial history of Pakistan that had a profound impact on the judiciary-parliament relations. In the words of a leading lawyer and member of the movement for the restoration of CJP Iftikhar Chaudhry, he later stated that the 2009 restoration as a result of public pressure had resulted in judges prone to arrogance and a bar prone to violence. We witnessed unprecedented judicial activism in the wake of its restoration in 2009. Iftikhar Chaudhry, Chief Justice Iftikhar Chaudhry, Honorable, Sabiq Chief Justice, declared that not Parliament but the Constitution was supreme. And the Constitution was what the judges said it was. Not what it actually said, not what the founders said, but what he said. In the 18th Amendment in 2010, for which, once again, consensus within Parliament allowed for the passage of the 18th Amendment and the restoration of the 1973 Constitution, for which we're grateful to President Asif Ali Zardari, for which we're grateful for Senator Raza Rabbani and the entire drafting committee. The 18th Amendment in 2010 had closed the doors of judges to legitimize constitutional abrogations. It barred judges from taking oath under the PCO, and they could no longer, at least in theory, uphold the subversion of the Constitution. The scope of punishment for abrogation under Article 6 was also widened by including in it those who upheld the abrogation. It was thought that the doors for dictators had been closed, but a new kind of dictatorship emerged. Previously, the Parliament was sent home by executive order of the President that was endorsed by the judiciary. After the 18th Amendment, when that was made impossible, the judiciary started sending home prime ministers on its own. Thus, former Prime Minister Yusuf Raza Gilani was sent home for not writing a letter to the Swiss government to implicate his own president in a criminal case, even though the Constitution protected the president from prosecution as long as he was in office. The Pakistan People's Party survived this by nominating another MNA as our Prime Minister. The next government that followed, the Pakistan People's Party, also met the same fate. Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was similarly sent home. The PMLN also unfortunate, but I must mention this, that in the 2013 general elections, the judiciary under Iftikhar Chaudhry became a partisan actor with clear favorites in the election. In 2018, the judiciary once again became a partisan actor with clear favorites in the election. It is hoped that this time it will be different. That is, of course, if we have elections. My party has been demanding an election date and schedule since Parliament's term ended, to no avail. Regardless of my well-known opinion on 90 days, which may now have become a moot point, our right to have an election is absolutely indisputable. At the time of the conflict over elections in the provinces in Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, my party and I made every effort, and the most sincerest effort, for political dialogue, political consensus, to resolve a constitutional, political, and democratic crisis. Our aim was to reach a consensus on election dates, not only for the province Pakhtunkhwa, not only for the province of Punjab, but also for the general election. Unfortunately, the events of May 9th stymied these efforts. And today, we find ourselves where we are. Let us be clear, ladies and gentlemen, elections delayed are elections denied. The only path forward is for the Election Commission of Pakistan to immediately release the date of the election and the schedule of the election without any further delay. Given the events that we witnessed over the weekend, I trust there shall be no further delay. It is only through a free, fair, and impartial election where all contenders have a level playing field, an equal playing field, where the citizens of Pakistan are allowed to exercise their vote, exercise their right in choosing their leaders, that we will be able to move forward. When I was Foreign Minister of Pakistan, I met with a prominent foreign minister from a country where they don't have elections. They don't understand elections. And I was asked, what are these elections? Why do you need elections? And I explained that the people of Pakistan are a very emotional people. हमें अपना भड़ास निकालने के लिए ये इलेक्शंस बहुत जरूरी। मेरा शक्ल आपको पसंद ना आए, 5 साल अगर मैंने कोई गलती की, कोई जुल्म किया, तो पाकिस्तान के अवाम के पास वो एक ही दिन है कि मुझसे हिसाब लिया जा सकता है। और इसलिए कि पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी एक जमहूरी जमात है, इसलिए ये जो आईन हमें इलेक्शन का हक देता है, वो कायदे अवाम का दिया हुआ, बनाया हुआ आईन है। इसलिए कि इस आईन की बहाली के लिए शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो ने अपना जान की कुर्बानी दे दी, इसलिए कि सदर जरदारी और पाकिस्तान पीपल्स पार्टी ने 18वीं तरमीम की सूरत में इस आईन को बहाल करके शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो के 30 साल की सियासी जद्दोजहद को, वो नामुकम्मल जद्दोजहद को मुकम्मल कर दिया था। अब मेरे पास कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं है, मैंने तो मुतालबा करना है कि इलेक्शन करो, फौरी करो, डेट दो, स्केड्यूल दो। मगर हम चाहते हैं, हमारा डिजायर ये है कि इसके बजाय कि कोई और इदारा हुक्म दे कि इलेक्शन कमीशन अपनी तौर पे अपना कानूनी और आईनी जिम्मेदारी मुकम्मल करके ये काम खुद कीजिए। Now let me go back to the judiciary, Supreme Court bar. I expect that in interpreting the Constitution, the judiciary will expand the powers of all democratic institutions, not merely its own. We have, however, witnessed that in interpreting the Constitution in the past, the judiciary has enhanced only its own powers and undermined that of other institutions. We value the independence of the judiciary. It is a cardinal principle of a democratic society. However, I sometimes feel that the independence of the judiciary has taken far too far to mean its independence from the law and the Constitution itself. We believe in accountability of all under the same law by the same institutions. Independence of the judiciary should not mean its independence from accountability. A reference was filed by over 100 civil society representatives from all walks of life against a Chief Justice of Pakistan while he was holding office. The reference was not heard by the Supreme Judicial Council for as long as the Chief Justice held the office of Chief Justice. When he retired, the reference was returned to the petitioner as having become infructuous. This raises some serious questions about accountability, particularly because honorable judges are so fond of claiming and proclaiming their fondness for accountability, particularly when it comes to civilian political leaders. एहतसाब होना पड़ेगा। हर वज़ीर आज़म ने अपने आप को इस इदारे के सामने एहतसाब के लिए पेश किया है किसी न किसी सूरत में। तो फिर one would imagine that the honorable judges would be the first to present themselves for accountability before their own accountability institutions. Here I would like to make mention of more recent developments that have raised our hopes. Members of the bar may or may not agree with me, but the recent decision on the Practices and Procedures Act have raised the hopes of Parliament. When President Zardari went from being the most powerful civilian president in the history of Pakistan, having inherited all the powers from a dictator who has usurped those powers from the parliament, from the prime minister, and he went from being the most powerful president, civilian president in the history of Pakistan, to the most ceremonial president in the history of Pakistan. When he gave his own powers back to Parliament, gave his own powers back to Prime Minister. तो वो एक हाई पॉइंट था पाकिस्तान की जमहूरी सफर में. तो वैसे ही, now when we see that the full court bench has given hope that Parliament's power, domain to legislate will be protected, even if it means that the sitting Chief Justice is to share his powers as master of the roster with fellow senior judges, is an encouraging sign for the future of the judiciary and for the future of Pakistan's democracy. The procedure for the appointment of judges also needs to be reviewed. The present procedure, which under the President, the Prime Minister, and Parliament have become all but a rubber stamp, and as post offices, has raised the criticism of a judiciary, of the judges, by the judges, and for the judges. This does not augur well for the image of our judiciary. Similarly, the contempt law also needs to be revisited. The dignity of honorable judges must rest on foundations that are surer and more solid than the contempt law. Respect for judges must be inspired by their judgments, by their conduct, and not by fear of any contempt law. A great challenge we face in the realm of rule of law and human rights is the enforced disappearances of citizens with impunity. The Commission on Enforced Disappearances has unfortunately failed miserably. Not one perpetrator of crime has been prosecuted thus far, and this is not acceptable. Another great challenge is the manipulation in elections and power transfer. Indeed, manipulated power transfer lies at the root of political instability. And as mentioned earlier, the election schedule must be announced immediately and a level playing field be ensured for all political parties. I would like also to say a few words about the presidential reference in respect to the judicial murder of Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. The reference is pending for almost a decade before the Supreme Court. In this golden jubilee year of the Constitution, is it too much to ask that the reference and respect of the political leader who gave us the country's first unanimous Constitution is heard without further delay, and justice is done, even if posthumously? They say that history repeats itself. First is a tragedy, and then is a farce. Shaheed Zulfikar Ali Bhutto को शहीद किया था. शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो ने 30 साल सियासी जद्दोजहद की उस आइन के बहाली के लिए और अपना वालिद के लिए, कायदे अवाम के लिए इंसाफ दिलाने के लिए. शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो खुद शहीद हो गए. ना वालिद को इंसाफ मिला और अफसोस के साथ ना हम शहीद मोहतरमा बेनज़ीर भुट्टो को इंसाफ दिलवा सके. फिर सदर ज़रदारी ने 2011 में रेफरेंस फाइल किया. इंसाफ नहीं मिल सका. 2018-19 में मैं खुद पिटिशन लेकर आया कि मुझे इस केस का पार्टी बनाया जाए और रेफरेंस फौरन जो है वो सुना जाए. आज 2023 में मैं आपके साथ हूं. अब I don't know at what point this tragedy became a farce, but it most certainly is a farce. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, I believe that Pakistan is stuck in a rut. And if we continue down this path, we are doomed. Doomed to repeat history, doomed to perpetuate a tragedy, and doomed to make a farce out of this country, out of its constitution, out of its democracy, out of its people. Throughout our history, we have oscillated between outright dictatorship, controlled democracy, or confrontational democracy. Dictatorship speaks for itself. Controlled democracy, पार्टी-less elections की जिन्हें जो गवर्नमेंट IJI किसी को याद है तो वो भी गिन ले, और हाल ही में जो हमने सब कुछ देखा है. और this is what I call the old way of doing politics, the tried and tested way, which has been proved that when you compromise on democracy in any way, shape or form, the country suffers, the people suffers, the economy suffers. But there is a fourth way, the way of consensus, a consensus democracy. And for short spouts, for little windows, हमने ये consensus देखा है और साबित कर दिया है. जब ये हम consensus सियासत करते हैं, consensus जमहूरियत करते हैं, तो फिर हम कामयाबी भी हासिल करते हैं. हमने उस consensus democracy को 1973 में 1973 कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की सूरत में देखा था कि सरजमीन बेआइन को आपने आइन दिलवाया. हमने इस कंसेंसस डेमोक्रेसी को चार्टर ऑफ डेमोक्रेसी में 18वीं तरमीम की बहाली में पहले NFC अवार्ड, 7th NFC अवार्ड की सूरत में, एंड इवन नेशनल एक्शन प्लान और दहशतगर्दी और इंतहा पसंदी का मुकाबले करने में की सूरत में हमने ये कंसेंसस डेमोक्रेसी को छोटे विंडोज के लिए, शॉर्ट पीरियड्स ऑफ टाइम के लिए हमने एक्सपीरियंस भी किया है. And it is in this very spirit of consensus building, consensus democracy, that Pakistan's democracy will not only survive, but it will thrive. And we will need this consensus within all institutions, within the institution of parliament, within the institution of the judiciary, in all institutions, this consensus को हमें कायम करना पड़ेगा. ना सिर्फ within institutions, but between institutions also. ये consensus हमें पैदा करना पड़ेगा, पार्लियामान और जुडिशरी के दरमियान और बाकी के अदारों के दरमियान भी. हमें और यही consensus हमने कायम करने की कोशिश की. यही कंसेंसस ही सोच था जिसकी वजह से हमने PDM के साथ दिया, जिसकी वजह से हमें वजीर बना कि हमने तो सारे जो पुराने बुराइयां थे उनको दुरुस्त करने थे. सिलेक्टेड राज को खत्म करके हमने तो जमहूरियत को बहाल करना था. सारे सियासी जमातें मिलके हमने तो वोट को इज्जत भी दिलवाना था, पार्लियामान की इज्जत को भी दिलवाना था, आइन के मुताबिक चलना था, सारी गैर जमहूरी ताकतों को दिखाना था कि कैसे जमहूरी हुकूमतें कायम करते हैं, कैसे कंसेंसस के साथ मिलके पुराने मुखालिफ साथ मिलके भी जो है जमहूरियत की तरक्की के लिए, आइन की तरक्की के लिए, मुल्क की तरक्की के लिए साथ मिलके काम भी कर सकते हैं. अगर इस एक्सपीरियंस के बाद अब मुझे पता चला है कि एक फ्रेज है अंग्रेजी में कि the road to hell is paved with the best intentions, तब मुझे समझ आ गया है इसका मानी क्या है. हमने तो पार्लियामान का जो अवाम का एतमाद है उसको बहाल करना था. रातों रात सारे इंस्टीट्यूशंस न्यूट्रल हो रहे थे. वाह जी वाह. Anyway, मैं मायूस नहीं हूं. काफी कुछ सीखा हूं, मगर मायूस नहीं हूं. And on the 50th Golden Jubilee, ये तो नहीं कह सकता हूं that our democracy is stronger today than it was yesterday. But इतना हमें वादा करना पड़ेगा पाकिस्तान के आने वाले नस्लों को that their tomorrow will be better than our today. The old politics of hyper-partisanship, hyper-polarization must end. जैसे मैंने कहा था, within parliament, within society, within judiciary, within the bar. ये hyper-partisanship, hyper-polarization, उसकी वजह से हम एक दूसरे को से बात करने नहीं चाहते, शक्ल देखना नहीं चाहते. इस सियासत को खत्म करना पड़ेगा. Agar we want to become a just society, then we have to leave space for differing opinions. We must use parliament, use the judiciary and other such institutions or other such bodies to forge consensus in order to resolve problems, not as bitter partisan arenas for us to create problems. We owe it to the people of Pakistan to start functioning as a modern country with a functioning governance system, with a functioning parliament, with a functioning judiciary, with a functioning constitution, with a functioning democracy. We owe it to the people of Pakistan. And there'd be no better way than to celebrate our Golden Jubilee than delivering on these promises to the people of Pakistan. Let's end the old, stale politics of the past and embrace the new politics of consensus. आप सबका बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you. बहुत शुक्रिया.